Kenyans, this is how our banks are committing what I call economic terrorism. Currently, the Kenyan banks, commercial banks for that matter, have stopped doing business with Kenyans. And now they are doing business with the government of the day for that matter. And this is very dangerous. Let me explain. You see, some years ago, banks were doing business with Kenyans. They were all over the country trying to sell loans to Kenyans. And this was done at a reasonable interest rate. And that is why you could find, during, let's say 10, 12 years ago, Kenyans had a lot of money circulating. And the economy was somehow, not a good one, but yeah, let's say somehow. But since Uhuru Kenyatta took over and William Ruto, banks stopped doing business with Kenyans and started doing business with the government. This is how. Banks stopped lending or giving loans to Kenyans and started doing the same to the government at a very high interest rate. In fact, as we speak right now, the lending rates, according to the CBK, is around 16 point something or 17%, thereabout. Lending rates. You get a loan at an interest of 16%, if I can say. Who is going to afford that? Who is going to afford that? Your guess is as good as mine. And that is why the banks did that intentionally. So that you stop going for money from them. You stop borrowing from them. And so they started using our savings. And by the way, the saving rate is about 4%. So you save your monies at an interest rate of 4%, and the banks use your money to give the government at 16%. How is that dangerous? This makes sure that you as a Kenyan will not have money to fund any of your personal projects. Because all this money will be given to the government. To do what? To loot. It is for politicians to loot. Right now, the domestic debt is around 5 point something trillion Kenya shillings. This is your money. This is your money the banks took and gave to the government at very high interest rates, so that the government will later, after some few years, get your money again, your taxes, and take it back to these banks as payment of these loans. Are you seeing what I'm talking about? That no money circulating out there, but it is circulating between politicians and the banks, the government and the banks, the government and the banks. That is what is happening now. Some few years ago, you would see banks everywhere. I mean, there are people coming for loans, coming for cars from different borrowers and everything. Nowadays, you rarely see them. Why? Because they stopped doing business with you, and they took your money, your savings, they give it to the government. The government loots this money, they steal this money and take your taxes. Yes, they tax you again to pay the same loans. So we are in this circus for long, and this is the solution. We must come together as Kenyans and completely destroy the current system, because it has been designed to make sure you remain poor forever. It is as simple as that. The ruling class will never willingly concede these advantages to you. You must fight them. You must wake up, because they are doing this for their own interests. You are not anywhere in the picture, and that is why they want to make sure you have as little cash as possible out there, so that you can be busy all day, every day, looking for school fees, looking for food, and these other petty things that you will never sit down and imagine and try to look at them and ask them questions. They want to keep you busy out there. And what other, a better way of doing that than doing business with the banks and preventing the banks from empowering you economically? So Kenyans, it is as simple as that. Wake up, mobilize, organize, march to State House, Parliament, governors, chase everyone away and start again. If you don't do that, you will live a miserable life forever.